Wake up. Wake up. It's Friday. Get out of the rack. That's right. It's Friday. You got one more day to do this before you hit the weekend. Well, you know what? Damon and Larry, we're here for you. Get up!
I mean, just like that, we're at the end of February. Good morning. Wake up indeed. I'm Damon. He's Larry. It is great to have all of you here. Larry, we're slowly winning some hearts and minds. If I could start, I know we don't start with supers. We save them for the end, but look at this. Travis Stewart, F you, Larry. You're awesome. Damon, growing on me. So, we'll take it.
Is he calling you a fungus? Is he saying you're a fungus?
That's the way it works, Larry. I get under your toenails, and the next thing you know, I'm a part of you. And if you want to take the pill to make me go away, it might hurt your liver, so you just deal with it. Anyway, it is great to have everyone here. Thank you. Super Bowl around the corner here in San Francisco. It all starts in earnest on Monday at the Media Center. Larry, I don't know what your plans are down there. I might be doing Wake Up from the Media Center on Monday. Depends on how early I want to start cracking next week.
I will be there. The crew show is going to be in effect all week long from Media Row. Kev got me this really fancy camera setup that's awesome. And Damon, it was all born out of the vision of the incredible video that you and I did where there's JT the Brick, there's Mike Sando, there's Wayne Newton. And I thought to myself, you know what? That was unbelievable. And so I think we're going to do Radio Row in a big bad way. Of course, I work for KMBR. I'm going to be partly at their table. I'll do my Niners Nightly either from there Monday through Friday, or we're just going to take I'm just going to be mobile, and I expect to do a bunch of stuff with you, maybe a daily video that we'll put out.
Absolutely.
I think we can tag team some media people, some players, some media people, and do some amazing content. So I told the bosses over at KMBR, I said, I'm going to blow up on Radio Row like you've never seen. I'm going to be mobile, hostile, infantile, versatile, but we'll be there all week long.
I'm looking forward to it, man. We're going to have an awful lot of fun down there. We're kind of like Media Row old timers now. We really are. And to prove that, Larry, let me take everyone back to 2013, because we are in the week where a guy like this was hard at work. This was Super Bowl in New Orleans. This is us about to do a pregame show from the radio booth. Look at the enthusiasm. Look at the dark hair on a young Larry Krueger right there. And then, oh, look at these two guys. Larry, you're looking like a funeral director right there. You must have known that the 49ers were going to lose that game. You did not look very happy to be in that picture. But look at the lack of gray on this. Just 13 years of age has really roughed us up.
Damon, I feel like I can bust out this picture and put it next to Shanahan's introductory press conference picture and just say that the 49ers have made us both grow old. This pursuit of the 6th Lombardi has turned me into this.
Look, all I can tell you is we've aged like presidents. You have spent so much time around that electrical field, even more time than I have. How are your knees this morning, Larry? How is the electrical substation treating you, my friend?
It's funny because I played a cut yesterday on the stream from Kyle Juszczyk, and he went on a podcast, and the people were trying to keep it light and they were laughing, but he was very serious. And he's like, I'm a science guy and I really would like some answers. And he wasn't like mad about it, but he also wasn't joking about it. And I think I've heard that CMC feels that way. I really believe this, Damon. I think the 49ers have 1 month. They have 1 month to either discredit it, debunk it, come up with a study that overrules the previous study, or decide or announce that they're tearing down the substation and are going to build it on their own dime. They're a $9 billion franchise. There's only 3 ways to get players. You can't sit out free agency and compete for a Super Bowl. You can for a year, but you can't as a rule. And if the Niners can't get free agents, they're done. So it's really important that they don't just sit here and go, hey, we're hoping for the best. I think they have to be proactive. They have to absolutely put to rest the entire controversy before the beginning of March 9th to be exact, when free agents can sign, but really before March 1st, because that's, a lot of the dialogue gets going in earnest about a week or so before, behind the scenes, as you know. So they've got to put this thing to rest. Some kind of a study, some kind of a or an announcement. They're not going to move the practice facility, because the practice facility is next to the stadium. The stadium they cannot move, but they probably could tear out the substation. And for, I don't know, who knows? I don't know what substations cost to build, but I guarantee you it's a lot cheaper than ripping down the stadium and the practice fields. And then just move the substation, or conduct a study that convinces everybody that there's absolutely nothing to it. Because,
well, let me just say, that substation is where it's supposed to be. It's the 49ers who aren't. So it shouldn't have. I mean, but I'm never going to like Santa Clara, but they have been practicing down there. The study that I would like to see, and no, I've not heard anyone bring this up. This is right next to a youth soccer facility. Are there injuries in a percentage at this youth soccer facility that suggest there is something to it? Is this
but that's a bad example, because the youth only play, it's my team this week, it's your team next week, it's our team in 3 weeks, where the Niners are there day after day after
Either
day.
way, give me the study. Give me the study. I want it all. They should study it all. They should spare no expense, and I agree with you completely. They have to put this to bed, because conjecture and, if it bleeds, it leads. During a very unsexy Super Bowl, which Patriots and Seahawks is, this is going to be discussed at every single table, in front of every single camera that is coming to cover the Super Bowl. This topic will come up either as an aside, as a serious topic, as a joke, snickering at the 49ers. It's going to come up. And here it's already started. Larry, there's a story that, neither Super Bowl team will be using the 49ers facility, which did strike me a little bit odd. You would figure that any NFL team, given the right of first refusal to use another NFL quality facility, that they would take that. But no, the Patriots are going to practice at Stanford, and the Seahawks are going to practice at San Jose State. Now, this does keep both teams away from all of the stadium prep and the chaos that goes along with that.
Right.
And also, I looked into this 10 years ago ahead of Super Bowl 50, before anyone used the word substation around the San Francisco 49ers. Right. Neither the Broncos nor the Panthers practiced at the 49ers facility either. And that was a decade ago. So I think it has an awful lot to do with just the level of security around an NFL stadium pre-week of Super Bowl. It's like Fort Knox. It's whether the president is there or not, it is a presidential level of security that comes around a Super Bowl stadium. So maybe that's why teams aren't practicing there, and didn't the last Super Bowl that was held there either. But isn't it odd that you would have NFL teams passing on an NFL facility to lead up to the Super Bowl?
Well, obviously it's not, because because of what you just said in the past. The only other Super Bowl here, teams chose not to. I'm sure they have their reasons, and I bet you it doesn't have anything to do with the substation. It has everything probably to do with just being out of the limelight, and probably the ease and the amount of time that they have to kind of set things up the way they want. And then maybe they also feel like, if you're working in another facility, maybe there's always, maybe they're paranoid. Maybe they're paranoid, but I don't think it has to do with the substation. I will say this, as somebody who works at Levi's Stadium, and has covered the Niners during this time where the league took over the stadium, it's quite there's a lot going on. I mean, yes, it's at Levi's, but there are structures being erected. Yes. That that are there to that are there to add to the Super Bowl Sunday. So that opening between, when you're walking down Tasman, and the opening between the end zone seating and the side that has the press box, that is all, they've built an entire structure in between there now. So there's just a lot going on there, security and issues and cranes and things. And so maybe it's just about getting away from it. And also you've got two you've got two big time fields there that are well taken care of and in great shape. So I'm not really sure why these teams. I mean, I'd love to talk to John Schneider and Elliot Wolf and find out why they chose these paths. But I as I said, I don't think it has to do with the substation. But that aside, when Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in America, and when he's talking about it, perception becomes reality.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice tweeted out, "Hey, didn't we win 2 Super Bowls practicing on those fields?" So in a lot of ways, he's mic dropping, but we also don't know if the substations were operating at the same levels. We're talking about data that goes beyond just reason. We have to, those substations could be a totally different animal in 2025 or 2026 than they were in, Jerry's run there in the 80s and early 90s. So, there's a lot of conjecture, and that's why we need answers.
Right.
And we just need something that absolutely is unassailable. Something that puts the whole thing to bed. And I think the league should work with the Niners, to be honest, because the league has a vested interest in making sure that all their teams are on a even playing field.
Yeah, I mean, player safety,
they should have an investment in this as well.
Damon is very stupid. I mean, what a nice way to start a sentence. Damon is very stupid. Actually, we're trying to have a very real adult conversation here, Tom. I don't know why you should be turned off. Why would anyone start a sentence? Damon is very stupid. I bet you I can prove to you very stupid is the wrong way to describe me.
I think he means super stupid.
Oh, that's it. That's
it. It's not very. It's the wrong use of very.
Super stupid. There are private residences next to the substation. Do the homeowners get injured a lot? Does it bring down property value?
There aren't.
There are not private residences around it. So, Tom, you're maybe more very stupid than I am very stupid. It is surrounded by parking lot and asphalt everywhere.
Business parks for miles to go. Exactly. There's not a house, I bet you, within a half mile.
Yeah. So Tom, use Google Maps and maybe you'll be less very stupid than me someday. Anyways, let me just bring this up because at some point, reality has to kick in here. Sports Information Solutions had San Francisco roster down 262 total games due to missed injury. That's the 7th highest total in the league. I know it felt like the Niners were the most injured team in all of football. They weren't. They were at the back of the top 10 more than they were at the front of it. Are those other 6 teams dealing with electrical magnetical fields? What is, no, let me tell you what I think is going on here more than anything else. And again, I'm not going to dismiss any level of what the substation may or may not be doing. Science needs to happen. Let's figure this shit out. But you know what I think the real problem is, Larry?
What's that?
It's football. It's just a dangerous ass sport. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your soft tissue. It's not good for your hard tissue. It's not good for your bones, your cartilage, any of your ligaments, your muscles, your brain, your lungs, your heart. It is bad for you. It will shave time of your life off of your life. There's a reason why there's not a lot of 90-year-old football players around. They don't live that long. This is a dangerous sport. It will take time off of your life expectancy. You will be hurt playing this sport in middle school, much less professionally. So there is that, I think, that people are sort of dismissing.
Well,
dangerous freaking sport. The Niners are the 7th most injured team in the sport, which means they're not the most injured because of this substation.
Do you know who's the most injured or the least injured?
Who is that?
The Raiders. The Raiders at 3-14 this year were the least injured team in pro football.
What an indictment that is on their actual team. Good Lord.
Hughescheck made a great point though, and I don't know if it's once again analyzing why there are injuries and this and that. I mean, I guess you could argue that the Niners practice harder on Thursdays and maybe that contributes. That's probably the only thing that I think that you could actually point to where there may be some credibility to it, because they do practice pretty hard on Thursdays. And Matt Barrows, Damon, did a breakdown earlier this year where he said the 49ers lost 7 players to injury during their Thursday practices alone this year, which is a pretty high number. So maybe Shanahan goes, too hard on Thursdays, and maybe they need to back off a little bit. That's just, I'm not even saying for sure, but I'm saying possibly. But I think the other thing that Juice made the point is that, think about it. When we watch an NFL play, whether we're at training camp, it's practice, or if it's going live on a Sunday, it's like a gigantic car crash, right? And there's all these legs and arms and elbows and knees, and everybody's just kind of, and it's, you fall, and then other guys are falling, and bigger guys are falling on smaller guys, and there's pressure points, and occasionally stuff breaks. I mean, and it's random. So, and that's, I would say 90% of football injuries, there's a super randomness to it because of the collisions and the body parts that are everywhere. And you just don't know when you're going to run into, mass and force. The combination of mass and force usually wins out. So if you're 6'6", 340, and I'm a corner and I'm 6'1", 195, and I go in there to stop the run, and all of a sudden my defensive tackle at 6'6", 340 falls on me, I'm busted, I'm broken,
right?
And it could be catastrophic, and it could be ugly.
How often is the injury, guard was pushed backwards into a pile, and he's the one who takes out the ankle, the knee of the tackle. So yeah, it's
random.
Football be dangerous. That is our official doctoral summation of the situation. Football be dangerous.
And if you don't even believe that, go watch the practices of the Senior Bowl. I saw a practice yesterday. They're doing one-on-ones, right? The coach, Damon, is literally 12 feet away. And what happens? It's a tackle against an edge rusher, and the tackle's got the edge rusher, and they're battling like crazy, and it's a freaking awesome battle. And then the tackle gets kind of angry at the edge rusher and kind of throws him down. And the edge rusher tumbles and rolls, and he rolled into
coach,
the coach, and you can see the coach's leg just get whipped out from underneath him, and he falls on his ass. But and that was because the leg came to the back of his calf. But if the leg came to the front of his calf, he probably has some kind of major injury. So, you know what I mean? It's just bodies being hurled. It's dangerous. It's like, it would be like, playing around on the side of a freeway or something. It's like, or you're driving a convertible and somebody loses a hubcap. I mean, you could die. If all of a sudden the hubcap comes spinning in your convertible, it's like, you just got to be really, really careful. And there's a randomness to a lot of this stuff. Let's not talk injuries, though, because injuries,
on that note, everyone, welcome to Wake Up. Hit like and subscribe. Thanks so much to Ike's for sponsoring Damon Bruce Plus. Thanks to our friends at the Dubliner West Portal, who will hopefully be buzzing during Super Bowl week. It's a nice little, way to get out of the chaos of downtown. Come out to West Portal, enjoy a great Guinness at the Dubliner West Portal. And of course, our friends at Sleeper are sponsors across both of our channels, Larry, along with your sponsors as well.
Well, thank you to your sponsors. I've met them. The Dubliner people are great. We shared some cocktails at the Guardsman's dinner earlier, I think last year, and great people over at the Dubliner, and always enjoy popping in there. We're, of course, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle with Emeryville, Corte Madera, open right now 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. They're opening in 2026 in Petaluma. Go say hi to Damon and Mary, different Damon. Tell them the Krug sent you. Also, thanks to Claudette Arcades for sending us to Philly. Thanks to our good friends at Sleeper, as you said. The link's in the description. Use promo code Larry. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. And also, I just wanted to say that, it is official now. The Krug Show will not just be on the boots on the ground at the Super Bowl, but we have our spring training trip ironed out. We're going to be in Scottsdale in March. And we'll give you the dates, but we've secured sponsorship, and we're really excited to be there.
When you can cover Harrison Bader up close, you do that.
That's right. When you can say, hey, wait a second. Jung-Hoo Lee, 6 years, $113 million to play right field and not hit 15 home runs and not steal 15 bases. Bring me some of that. So
you need that guy right there. Whenever
I actually love spring training, and it's a great vacation. I want it. Both my older boys, Damon, and I know Ozzy and Jack are young, but dude, it's always a dream of mine. What we dream about is sometimes you dream what you dream. I dream what I dream. I dream about playing golf with my boys. I have three boys, and I'd love to play golf with my boys. And I've tried to play golf with them in high school, but high school kids are not into golf unless they're on the golf team generally. But now my boys are older. Kev's out of college. Ben's in college, and they're falling in love with golf as their friends are like, "Hey, man, let's go golf," and they realize how cool it is and fun. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play some real desert golf. We're gonna take in 3 or 4 Cactus League games. It's Kev's birthday weekend.
Oh.
It's a gift for me to him to just say, "Hey, man, you have turned the Krug Show channel into much more than I ever dreamt." And it's a thank you to them. So
is Kev
really excited to go.
22 for Kev?
No, 20. Oh gosh, 25.
Oh, geez, he's older than I thought he was. That's awesome. I thought we were sneaking him drinks when it was in Vegas with
maybe
us.
24 for Kev. 24.
All right. Well, either way, that's awesome, man. Go have a great time. Have a wonderful time with your boys. And again, spring training is fantastic. It really is.
Man.
Spring training was even better when it came at a much more reasonable price than it does nowadays. But you go to spring training games for like $12-13 when I was younger. Now you might as well be paying Major League Baseball prices. But it is awesome. It is so much fun. Scottsdale's a great town to spend a weekend. So have a great time, buddy.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Really looking forward to it.
So let's talk about what sort of the big story was around the Niners, who I think, with free agent concerns that we're trying to have debunked by substation investigation. Maybe trading Mac Jones is a good way to acquire more picks and get more players. And there is one team that I guess is a little bit more interested in maybe acquiring Mac than everyone else, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Mac should get competing offers. I mean, this is not like the Milwaukee Bucks have said Giannis is available, and we will get to that at the end of the show. But this is basically a vetted, experienced, still very young quarterback who has a little bit of the Sam Darnold bump working for him right now. Former 49er backup, gets a shot to be a starter. Now the guy is on another team, and he is in the Super Bowl, for goodness sakes. I think that just makes the allure of Mac Jones even more. And the Vikings might be interested. So let's talk about what the compensation would be and what you would ask to sort of set the Mac market and let teams know, hey, if you do want this quarterback, you're going to have to pay for him because this guy just saved our entire season. Again, I would be very careful trading Mac Jones because that's how important a backup quarterback is. But if you were to trade for him, what would be the compensation? And Larry, I have a list of things that I'm going to offer you as a trade. You tell me, as the Minnesota Vikings, whether or not you would want to do this. Okay?
Wait, I'm the Vikings?
You're the Vikings. I'm going to put offers on the table for you. First of all, just so you know, since you are the Minnesota Vikings, your first round pick is pick 18 in the upcoming draft.
Gotcha.
You have a second rounder. You have a third rounder. You have a fifth rounder. You do not have a fourth rounder, but you got a fifth rounder and a sixth rounder and 3 sevens. Okay.
I love the 3 sevens. Go ahead.
So, of course, you would want draft picks.
Well, they have Jordan Addison, and
right?
They have the Justin Jefferson. I mean,
so I'm going to tell you right now, those two guys, Justin Jefferson, we could talk about, but that's such a premium price that you have to do a lot of roster shuffling. I don't think the Vikings are about to trade Justin Jefferson. And if you're going to bring a quarterback in, why are you trading Justin Jefferson? So Addison is arrested every 5 minutes. I don't think the Niners would be interested in him very much. But what about Mac Jones or Jalen Naylor and a sixth or a 2027 fifth round pick? What would you think about Jalen Naylor and a pick coming back from Mac Jones? Would you do that deal?
No way.
All right.
Can I say why? Before you go into these trades, can I just kind of set the table on this?
Sure.
That trade, like if you had said it to me, Damon, because we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. If you had said that to me, like when we first started talking about this, I would have said, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Sounds all right. But then I came to my senses and I'm like, all right, let's make a list of How many teams need quarterbacks? And I don't have the list in front of me, but there's more than one. I would say, how many teams, just if you were just saying a number without naming the teams, how many teams do you think in the NFL need a new quarterback?
The Vikings, the Cardinals,
Jets,
the Jets,
Raiders.
Well, the Raiders are about to get Mendoza, so they're not.
They need one. Raiders.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
At least, so that's at least 3 or 4.
It's 3 to 4 teams that are really looking for someone who could come in and get starter level snaps.
Okay, so where would you rank? Okay, if you said to all teams that need a quarterback, rank the best quarterbacks you can get this offseason. Well, Fernando Mendoza is number 1, okay, because he's the first pick in the draft. Then the other draft quarterbacks, Ty Simpson, who I guarantee you is going to go in the first round. Carson Beck.
Reach, by the way, feels like a reach. By the way, Carson Beck is not a pro quarterback. That's going to be a disaster.
By the way, but I agree with you. Ty Simpson does seem like a reach in the first round, but I do think he'll go. Carson Beck, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, Trinidad Chambliss, Cade Klubnik. I mean, you see the list there. I mean, so it's not a great draft for quarterbacks. And then the free agent quarterbacks, here's the list. Daniel Jones is a free agent, but he's really not. He's going to go back to Indy for sure. Rodgers is 43. Russell Wilson's 38. Marcus Mariota, Zach Wilson. I'm trying to think.
Malik Willis,
Malik Willis, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, this is the creme de la creme. My point is simply this. Mac Jones might be the second best quarterback when you factor in what he is. He's 27. He's coming off a year where he went 5-3, 13 touchdowns, 6 picks. He reads the field. He completed over 85% of his passes in a game. He completed 70% on the season. So he's a ready-made, ready to plug in. You don't have to go like, well, he needs a couple years on the bench. Nope. He's ready to go right now, more so than almost any quarterback, maybe even more so than Mendoza as far as
he's already thrown for about 13,000 career yards. You know,
yeah. I mean? So he's and he's not hurt, he's not old, and he's also has a price tag of $7 million in year 1. So you get a 1-year look-see at him. So there is, in the world of value, that contract adds value, his experience adds value, the lack of the supply and demand factor adds value. I think the value for Mac Jones is through the roof. Because outside of Mendoza, let's just say the Raiders are taking your guy, Mendoza. And I would if I were them. Everybody else that needs a quarterback is going to be coming knocking on Mac Jones's or the Niners' door for Mac. And the report out of Minnesota, this wasn't even a Niner report. I read a different report from somebody who covers the Vikings, said that the Vikings are definitely interested in Mac Jones, but that there are a, quote, number of other interested teams. So, it's all about supply and demand, and this is the most important position in the sport. I think the Niners, and I'm going to do a video on this later today, I think the Niners are going to get a bonanza for Mac Jones.
Well, they could. I mean, they really could. That's why I think coming out with any initial investigation or whatever is leaked, it should be leaked at a high price because this is an asset that, again, if I don't get what I'm asking for, I'm more than happy to come back with Mac Jones as QB2 next year if I'm the 49ers for $7 million. That sounds like a Geico-level insurance policy against an injury. The guy just saved your entire flipping season.
And he gets along with everybody.
Right, and everyone
likes him.
And he comes out, and he's like the third guy behind Trent in the boombox entrance. Like, they love him.
They love him.
How about this?
Before you go into this,
okay,
isn't that pretty amazing though? That's where they're at, and this is like the new. If I'm the Niners, this is your Eddie D. Eddie D was your advantage before, right? He would outspend. What's your advantage now? You have Brock Purdy and you have Kyle Shanahan, and you are the new reclamation quarterback leader, and you should lean into it. You should trade Mac Jones, get him bonanza, sign Zach Wilson or Anthony Richardson, whoever the next guy is. Go get the next guy and keep doing this and mandate. We will sign you 2-year deal. No more 1-year deals like Sam Darnold got. 2-year deals. So you get something, we rebuild you. We get something, we get the assets coming back on the back half. To me, Damon, that's how the Niners are going to close the gap on Seattle and LA.
I agree with you. Jonathan Greenard for Max straight up.
Ooh, where's he? Atlanta?
No. He is the Vikings' best defensive end, but he's a little bit older, and they've got behind him Dallas Turner, who is coming on real strong. The Vikings do want to get a little bit younger. How about your starting defensive end, who put a lot of pressure on the pocket this year, didn't quite get home? Even I like I told you, I got a buddy of mine who is could be a Vikings insider if he wanted to quit his job and go make no money in the media. He could be a Vikings insider. He said Jonathan Greenard would make sense for both teams. Dude is a stud pass rusher who did a great season 2 seasons ago, pressured a ton of quarterbacks this year, just missed on what would have been 10 sacks. He was snake bit, just missed out so much. And with Dallas Turner, who plays better playing in Greenard's spot than Van Ginkel, he would think of doing that. Greenard for Max straight up, and maybe you throw in a 2027 based on performance pick based on that. Would you do that? Would you solve your defensive end problem just like that?
It's attractive, but it's not enough.
Okay.
It's attractive, but it's not enough. I would want Greenard and a 3rd-round pick, or I'd want Greenard and Addison and a 5th-round pick. I want to.
You might have to include a 7th-rounder that that's the thing. It might be Mac and a pick to get Greenard and a pick.
I don't think so, because I do. Well, first of all, I don't know if that Greenard's going to make sense. Why? Literally an hour before the show, I was looking through some notes and on Twitter, and it said that the Vikings are really eager to add an edge rusher because Van Ginkel is older and he's a free agent at the end of the year. So they were saying that whoever was talking about the Vikings on Twitter today was saying that they're likely to go defensive end maybe early because they are going to lose Van Ginkel. So, but I do love Greenard. I loved him I think at Florida. He's rangy, he's long, he's in his physical prime. He's absolutely would help them tremendously, and he's a perfect fit for the Niners scheme because he's heavier and can be an edge setter, and he's got enough scoot, let's say, around the corner to burn the edge. So he's a little bit of an edge burner as a rusher, but he's also an edge setting against the run kind of a guy. So I like him, but I think Mac's going to fetch more. I really do.
How about Mac Jones for TJ Hawkinson, tight end? You need one because of the Kittle injury.
Yeah.
Mac for TJ Hawkinson and a 5th-rounder. If you're the Vikings, would you do that?
If I'm the Vikings, would I do it, or if I'm the Niners?
Either way. But yeah.
Well, I think that sounds reasonable, but once again,
looking for even more, right?
Factor in supply and demand. I think that 5th becomes a 3rd.
Okay.
I would take Hawkinson in a 3rd.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The price tag for this guy is going to be really, really high. If you badly need a good quarterback, you either have to get the Raiders to give you Fernando Mendoza, or you got to call the Niners and get Mac Jones. And there's not a lot of plan B, C, D. You know what I mean?
Look, Mac Jones is 27 years old. He was the 15th overall pick of the 2021 draft. He saved the entire Niners season. There's a lot of tape on him playing great. His teammates love him, like we were saying. So how about this? Let's get players out of it. Let's get existing players out of it and just talk Mac for picks. Now, also, my buddy Brady told me that right now, the Vikings are covetous of picks. They don't want to move picks. Adolfo Mensa has drafted poorly. The roster is getting older. So
that's Lynch. That's a former Niner, by the way, who has a great relationship with Lynch. Adolfo.
Vikings just fired their GM for that Hawkinson deal. Thank you very much. What about Mac for a 2nd and 2 7th-rounders in this draft?
Not enough. To me, I think you need a 2nd and a 3rd. I would have said a 3rd. I would have said a 2nd just a couple weeks ago. I think I did say a 2nd a couple weeks ago. But when you really examine the wasteland that is known as available quarterbacks this offseason, Price is going to be high. Price is going to be high. And here's why, too, because the Niners don't have to move. They don't just have the quarterback. They got a quarterback that fits and fits their cap.
What if to get the deal done, you had to take future picks? Would you be interested in Mac for a 3rd and a 6th this season with a 4th rounder the following season?
That's interesting. That is interesting. No, I think that
you
4th
want it all
next.
Now. You want it all now.
No. I'm okay with the structure. Okay. I think that 4. I think you said a 3rd and a 6th and a 4th.
And
I think I would want 2 3rds and a 6th.
Okay.
If you could make that 27 pick a 3rd, yeah, I think I would do that.
Okay. So I would too. I mean, like I said, I thought a 3rd, a 6th, and a 4th in 27 would do it. You want to throw 2 3rds at me? Yeah, I'll do that right now if I'm the 49ers. Would you do it if you were the Vikings? Like you said, Andrew Van Ginkel, a little bit long in the tooth, but still a productive linebacker, and the Niners could use as many productive linebackers as they can get. How about Mac for Van Ginkel and a 3rd?
No way. You got to remember this. If the Niners keep Mac, they get a 3rd. So now you're trading for 1 year of Van Ginkel, who's a free agent at the end of the year, who's going to have a high price tag. You probably can't afford him. So 1 year of Van Ginkel and the pick you would have gotten anyway. So I would say no. That's why I think there's a lot of people that think of Jones and then they put it in their head and they're like, yeah, he's probably worth a 3rd. And that makes sense. And it does make sense. But then when you look at the Niners getting a 3rd and he's only on the books for $7 million, why wouldn't they just keep him? Especially since what if what would be the atmosphere or the temperature in the room right now if the Niners, let's just say for the sake of conversation, lost Purdy to the turf toe, didn't have Mac, and didn't go 12-5, and went 5-12? What would be the vibe around the team? It would be like Shanahan's done. He's been here for a decade. They're 5-12. Lynch is done. They've been here for a decade. They went 5-12. And they missed the playoffs. I mean, it would change. Would have changed this. It would change everything about the perception of the team from us, the fans, and Jed. So that's what Mac gave you this year. So I would not be in a rush to give him away for anything but a bonanza. And when I say bonanza, I'm talking about a 2, a 3, and a player.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. Or give me some conditional draft picks. If he starts X amount of games, if he starts X amount of games for you, your pick improves. If he throws X amount of touchdowns, your pick improves. If you're a playoff team, your pick improves. I'd be willing to do that deal with the Vikings. But again, I want multiple picks, maybe even over multiple years to get a deal like that done. My last question on this, and then if you want to go more on it, we'll go more. Who is the one existing quarterback who could be the wrench thrown into this? Do you think if all of a sudden Kyler Murray is up for grabs, would you be more interested as a team who needed a quarterback in Kyler Murray based on what you know about him, or Mac Jones and the allure of there's still an unknown about him? I wouldn't put my team in Kyler Murray's hands before I'd put him in Mac Jones's hands. I don't think I'd be very comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 2 different quarterbacks. You're talking about a quarterback with a pocket presence or with a pocket, pedigree like Jones, and then you're talking about one of the greatest second-level movers in the history of the league in Murray. But then there's also these reports that Murray doesn't like to watch film, isn't much of a leader, and it's like you got to ask yourself, we know why the 49ers want to get rid of Mac Jones, or not want to get rid of Mac Jones, but maybe open to it. It's because they ain't got Brock Purdy, right? That makes sense. We all understand that. Why does Arizona want to get rid of Kyler? And doesn't that they want to get rid of Kyler kind of kill the value? Because they're getting rid of a quarterback and they need a quarterback. So right. I think that mutes it
on another level.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we're hiring somebody that just got fired. Well, why'd they get fired? It's kind of that. So obviously Kyler's a way better athlete. And I think Kyler, if you put him in a great situation, an awesome organization with real focus and intensity, is going to be better than he was in the woebegone Cardinal organization. I used to work for the Cardinals I've had a firsthand look at the Bidwell family. I've had a firsthand look at how they do business in their front office. Granted, it's not this regime; it was a previous regime with Rod Graves and Ferguson and Bo Bollinger and Keith Kidd and Joe Woolley and Buddy Ryan. I mean, it was years ago, but it was the same ownership, and it's just a loser organization, and they make bad decisions. And I could talk about it on the record or off the record for hours. And I just think that Murray's likely to be better elsewhere. But before I would do that, Damon, before I would trade for Kyler, even if I needed a quarterback, I want to go to dinner with Kyler. I want to spend a couple days with Kyler. I want to talk. I want to do a due diligence on more. I know what he is physically. I don't need any workouts and measurements or any of that. I just need to get to know him, and I need to get to know what's he really about? What's his work ethic really like? What's his, what are his dreams? What are his, how does he see his future? I mean, I just got to find out about Kyler. And if I was satisfied with all that, I would get Kyler in a heartbeat, because I really think that you put Kyler on, like, I don't know. Let's just, there was no Lamar Jackson and suddenly the Ravens wanted Kyler. I think he would be awesome in Baltimore. Not good, not great, but awesome. So I really like Kyler, but I got to find out what's making him tick. And is he, here's the thing, Damon, I've met a lot of people, and you've met a lot of people as well. We just assume that all these guys love what they do, but some guys love football and some guys don't. And if you're a quarterback, you better love the process of football. And if you don't love the process of football, there's a limit to how good you're going to get. And this is not a Rocky shirt, by the way. It's a Cali Muscle shirt. Somebody said, Larry, is that a Rocky shirt? No, it's not. Just a Cali Muscle shirt, a buddy of mine's spot. But yeah, I just got to find out, does Kyler love football? If he loves, practice and film and the process Monday through Saturday leading into the game, then yeah, I would absolutely go for Kyler over Mac, because of that second level movement ability in a league where the guys who rush the quarterback are incredible athletes.
Well, there's one thing we agree on. If Mac were to go out of town, the return coming back to the 49ers would have to be very significant. Very significant. All right. Speaking of significant roster moves, the 49ers have 21 unrestricted free agents. Let's take Juwan Jennings out of the equation here, because
I'm waving goodbye to the Niner free agents, by the way. I saw that list. It's not a great list.
No, it's not. But here's what I would do. So Juwan Jennings, to me, the negotiation would be very simple this year. If I were John Lynch, I would walk over, I would present him the contract we felt comfortable with. If he took a look at it and said, yes, welcome back, buddy, it's good to have you. If he said no, that's that. It's a quick walk away if the price ain't right for Juwan Jennings. So let's kind of take him off the table, because I bet we're in agreement on that. Beyond Juwan Jennings, so I do think you make an offer to, it's got to be reasonable. Who is the other unrestricted free agent that you would prioritize returning? I'll give you mine. Or do you want to give me yours first?
Well, I know who you're going to pick, and we're going to pick the same guy. And all I would say is, are you franchising any of these guys?
So I would.
You can franchise a guy. The Niners can franchise a guy.
I would give a multiple-year deal to Eddie Pineiro.
Yeah,
so
I mean that's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy right there. It's Eddie. Eddie's coming. Eddie should have been a Pro Bowler. Eddie should have been on maybe the
guy from Dallas. The guy from Dallas is just banging him from 70, so he had no chance.
Eddie was amazing this year, though. I would definitely say, the fact that kicker is really important. I mean, if you think about, like, if you went and took the Patriots dynasty, let's just say, the most recent dynasty outside of the Chiefs,
Brandon Aubrey. I don't know why I blanked on his name. It's Brandon Aubrey.
Who's signed out of a tryout camp, Damon. Signed out of a tryout camp. But, take the Pats dynasty. And if you said to people, hey, rank the most important people in the Pats dynasty, well, on that list somewhere is going to be Vinatieri.
Yeah, he's in the top 12.
Great kicker really does, especially a money kicker. If you feel like you got a guy who's got, like, the nerves to really handle the pressure, and he's a kind of a money kicker, yeah, I mean, I think the Niners, in a year where it was, I don't want to say it was forgettable, because it was a good year, but one of the best things that happened this year was Eddie Pineiro. And that you did gain a significant pillar of your next Super Bowl team by getting the right kicker. You tried to get Moody and it didn't work out. But then you somehow, miraculously, and it was a miracle, they found Eddie in like week 2 or week 3. And I don't think it was accidental. And I would say Eddie for sure. But is there one beyond Eddie?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm returning the entire special teams muscle, if you will. I'm bringing back Eddie Pineiro. I'm bringing back Thomas Morstead, and I'm bringing back long snapper John Weeks. None of these should be extraordinary costs.
Sky Moore?
I would do a multiple year deal with Eddie Pineiro, avoid franchising him, and give him the assurances that he'll be here for multiple years. I think he'd like that. The one guy that I'm looking at here, I'm bringing back Spencer Burford.
Okay.
I think
he's going to get offers.
I know he's going to get offers, but I would make that opening offer if I'm the 49ers, and I would let him know that you are a part of this, man. And with a huge offseason, I think Burford can really take that next step forward. I'm a fan of his. I think he's good. I think the offensive line showed you that it was better with him than without him. I'm bringing him back.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm not because, I do like Burford, but I think this line needs a jolt, and it needs a culture change, and it needs a shakeup, and I want to go with some different guys. But I also think he's going to get a price. I think he's going to get a big offer. I'm not saying he's going to get a Jalen Moore Chiefs kind of offer, but I think he's going to get a big offer, and I think he's going to probably walk. But I'm looking at this list. It's a goodbye list. Kendricks.
Can I give you one last name? Can I give you one more name? And of course, these are reasonable prices. The Niners are not overextending their financial capabilities here on anybody. But I'm going to walk up to Brant Boyer, and I'm going to ask him, how much do you need Luke Gifford to play good on special teams again next year? Because he led the team in special team snaps. I know that Luke Gifford was not exactly the best fill-in linebacker, but on special teams, I think he's a Pro Bowler. Are you bringing back Luke Gifford?
It's not bad either. He would. He's a very good special teamer. Again, I think I would want to go with younger, faster, cheaper, better coverage players, and I would pass on Gifford. I think for me, and a lot of people are going to question this one, but I would see if I could get Yatir Gross-Matos back at a cheap price. I know he's had injuries. He's had injuries throughout his career, but he did play very, very well at times, and I think you got to have a reservoir of guys up front, and it's almost like D-line in the NFL is almost like starting pitching in Major League Baseball. It's like you never can have enough, and it's like every team in the league needs more always. And Yatir Gross-Matos is an inside guy and an outside guy.
Look,
I like Cleve Farrell too, but Cleve Farrell's a little older. There's more tread on those tires. He's a lot cheaper, but I would try to retain Yatir Gross-Matos and at my price. If I don't like all these guys, I would offer Jennings 2 years, $32 million, and that's my walk away. The rest of the guys on this list outside of Eddie Pineiro, I would say goodbye to.
Okay.
And the special teamers, I agree with you. And I would probably throw Sky Moore on that list. You didn't include him, but I would include him. I thought he was a really good fit. I think he's a great return option at a reasonable price. So, but Yatir Gross-Matos would be the one guy that I felt like there were some games that I saw some really great things from him, and I'd like to have him back.
We've only seen him healthy for like 5 weeks in his 2 years with the team. And in those 5 weeks, I'd say on the field, he produced well in about 3 of them. So, yeah, I would like to see him back at the right price as well. I would take my shot on him, but if he could stay healthy for more than a month at a time, that would be spectacular as well. Let me just ask you this too, Larry, because there's some news coming out today about concussions and the concussions that were suffered on the new kick return. So teams have found the loophole of the new, safer kickoff, and that is by landing these kickoffs in the landing zone. So in
forcing a return, in other words.
Yes. In 2024, there were 8 concussions on 919 kick returns. In 2025, there were 35 concussions on 2,076 kick returns. So the loophole has been found. And even though the 35 concussions is still a lower rate of concussions than pre-2024, should the NFL just go back to old school kick returns? Have we found something safer or just something different, which is trending already to just as dangerous as the thing you were trying to make safer?
Yeah, I have no problem if they went back to the old one. Now, granted, it's anytime you have these guys are running that way full speed and they're getting ahead of speed, and these guys are running this way full speed and they're getting ahead of speed. It's going to be a dangerous play. There's going to be a big concussion. There's going to be a big collision. Big collisions equal big concussions. And you know, this is the, in a way, it's one of the more, before the changes, it was one of the most exciting plays in football, but it was also one of the most dangerous plays in football. And you know,
you know what I'd like to see? I would like, if there were any special teams difference, I'd like to see there is no you don't have to declare we're about to have an onside kick. You should be able to sneak attack with an onside kick.
Well, I mean, I kind of taken more of a macro view of what are we talking about here? And it's like I think instead of trying to make something that's inherently dangerous safe, why don't we just take care of the guys who get hurt completely? And that's kind of the way I would look at it. I mean, can we make auto racing 100% safe? No. Can we make boxing 100% safe? No. I mean, MMA that hasn't been around long enough for for these studies to really be done conclusively. But if you look at the early years of MMA and Ultimate Fighting compared to the rules that are involved in the sport now and how it's officiated and everything, it's far safer now than it was. I can remember watching a guy just pound the back of a guy's neck like literally like continuously for like 15 minutes. I mean, it's like, I'm surprised guys didn't get paralyzed. So I would say let's not focus on trying to make NFL football safer as much as let's take care of the guys by it's not a mom and pop anymore, Damon. It's a $20 billion industry, and some gigantic healthcare provider should cut an overwhelming deal with the NFL to give everybody who plays a snap, not, vested after 10 years, a snap. You play a snap, your son plays a snap, lifetime medical. And to me, that is such a strong position for the NFL to be in, because then you can literally say, we take care of our players. And yes, we know there's inherent risks, and we're going to try to mitigate those risks as much as possible. But in reality, we're not going to sit there, and you can't make this sport safe.
No, I've said this for years, Larry. Trying to get safety into football is like trying to remove gravity from skydiving. Yeah. It's just hard.
Can't be done. So let's do the next best thing, and let's do a thing that also could, that would be a huge cost to the NFL. Granted, it would be a massive, monumental cost, but it would also be the right message to send, which is like, hey, man, yeah, college players, they get hurt, but if you ever make it to the National Football League and you get hurt, you're going to be taken care of.
Right. And here's the thing. I'll even save the NFL a little bit of money here. Now, this doesn't mean that your dependents, your children, or your wife are on this NFL golden parachute coverage, but you as the NFL player are. Your life is covered the rest of the way through. And of course, this can all be underwritten by State Farm and cost the NFL almost nothing. I mean, there is a way to make this happen before next year. If the NFL really wanted to make it happen, someone would be happy to be the official insurance provider of NFL players and reap all the benefits and the publicity that comes with that.
Yeah, and make it a you don't have to eliminate the families. You could have it just be like a regular job where your family's covered. They're just not covered like the players are covered. They're just on a different level, right? Different tier. Like your family is covered, but your wife is covered. You just said it. You have enough friends in high places. There's enough revenue. There's enough creative minds to go out there and to do this and to turn a negative into a great PR positive for the league. And I think the league's missing an opportunity right now. They're so used to their mom and pop ways and so worried about the final bill that they're, thinking of all these ways to make a game safer. And in reality, you're only going to make it less popular, and then you're going to shrink your revenue base. It's enormously popular. If you want to tinker with things to make them safer and helmets and all the everything to make it safer, that's great. But, just acknowledge that this is inherently a very, very dangerous thing. But we are taking care of our own.
Grow your coverage and grow your rosters. Ask players, give players the ability to play a little less, and I think that as the NFL is now considering adding an 18th game, 18 will become 20 before you know it. There is no such thing as the NFL wants to play less football and sell it to you. So we know that more games are coming. We know that more media deals will be struck. We know this. So grow rosters and grow coverage for your players. Indeed. Let me just ask you this too, Larry, because you've heard a new name sort of come into the orbit of the discussion of next defensive coordinator. We all know that Gus Bradley feels like the name in waiting. It's pretty much why he came aboard the team in the first place, I think. Jim Schwartz has apparently stormed out of Cleveland saying, screw you guys, I'm going home, and is very upset that he did not get the head coaching job in Cleveland. And he is still under contract, so you have to trade for him. Would you have to? The Browns going to release him from that contract? But either way, would you rather have Gus Bradley or an angry spite season or two out of Jim Schwartz, who has done a really good job stymieing the 49ers throughout his career? Or there's a new name that is sort of circulating around that when I said we were going to talk about this, you said, have you heard? And I said, no, I had not heard. Tell everyone.
Well, I mean, the Niners, according to Matt Mayoko, conducted 3 interviews already. Bradley, Raheem Morris, and Joe Woods. Joe Woods.
I did not see that Raheem Morris story.
Yeah, so they interviewed those 3 guys. So now the Niners could hire somebody any minute because they have satisfied the Rooney Rule, which mandates you have to interview 2 minority candidates. Woods and Morris would qualify. So they're ready to roll. I'm on record as saying that I like almost all the candidates. The Woods would be the weakest candidate. I think if I was ranking the candidates, I'd probably say Schwartz 1, probably Raheem Morris 2, Bradley 3, if I had to really rank. But I'm really very satisfied with any of those 3 guys, and I think the 49ers would be as well. If you want continuity, Bradley's the guy.
Do you think Gus Bradley would stay and still be the defensive backs coach for the new defensive coordinator, or would he pull the Jim Schwartz, I'm out of here now? Because there are not as many musical chairs open. It's not like if Gus Bradley decides to walk away, he's going to get a defensive coordinator gig just like that somewhere else. The game of musical chairs is almost over when it comes to coaching movement.
Well, I mean, Gus Bradley, it depends what kind of, what his financial situation is. It depends what his, what his ego is like, because I mean, you're talking about a guy who used to be an NFL head coach and a coordinator, and now he's going to be happy being a position coach. I mean, name me an former NFL head coach that went back and was a position coach. I mean, Bill Walsh. I mean, aren't too many. I mean, aren't too many guys. I mean, yeah. Tom Sula. There's been a few guys through times. I mean, and they're usually line coaches. I mean, whatchamacallit? Or he's not a position coach. He's Spags is now a coordinator, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like I think Joe Bugle. I mean, there's a couple guys that you could probably point to, Ray Rhodes or somebody who was like they got a head coaching opportunity and then eventually they went back. Richie Pettibone going way back, but it's rare. It's really rare. So I would say Gus Bradley probably would join Saleh in Tennessee in some kind of consultant role if they got bypassed for the coordinator job. That'd be my guess.
By the way, I'm glad Richie Pettibone made today's show. I did not have that on my show bingo card, Larry. Thank you very much. Okay, so
I can go deep.
The Falcons have dipped into the Bears front office to fill their general manager role, not the 49ers front office. The Falcons hired former Bears assistant general manager Ian Cunningham as their next GM, who's 40 years old. He joins Matt Ryan, and Stefanski is now the new brain trust of the Atlanta Falcons. I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good brain trust. The Falcons are making good hires, I think, here. Look out for Atlanta, maybe. But this relates to the Niners because director of scouting Josh Williams was up for that job. He did not get that job, so I guess he remains. Vice president of player personnel Tariq Ahmed was also interviewed by the Dolphins for their GM opening, as was assistant GM RJ Gillen. No one is leaving. No one from this front office is leaving. And that piggybacks on a story that was in Niners Nation this week about how the Niners really do have something that is rare in the NFL, and that is a decade of steady leadership at the top of the organizational chart. With Shanahan, who is in charge of it all, and John Lynch, who is also very much making big decisions. Their entire scouting department now stays. Their assistants to their general manager now stays. And one might even argue, since the drafting hasn't been great, this might not even be a good thing. But when it comes to stability for a team that is yet to crown itself with a Super Bowl title in this regime is basically getting a 10th year now. Good or bad, Larry? Good or bad?
That these guys didn't get hired?
That everything will remain the same after so many disappointing drafts. I mean, look.
Well, continuity is always a good thing, but I mean, continuity can be a good thing, but the reason that they didn't get hired, is they didn't do a good enough job, and they haven't done a good enough job. And if you look at, the 21 draft, it's a nightmare. 22 is a nightmare outside of Purdy. 23 is a nightmare. 24. They've had 3 or 4 bad drafts. I mean, this and all, the recent drafts always look good, but then over time they look bad. I mean, the first 3 picks of the 24 draft were Pearsall, Renardo Green, and Dom Pooney. Well, there's a lot of people that say that Dom Pooney is underpowered, that Pearsall's glass, that Renardo Green is not a culture fit, and don't think that those guys as 3 stars. Think of those guys as 3 question marks. So, it's like as time goes on, you get the real answers. Like, people do a grade the morning after the draft. I don't, but a lot of people do. And I always thought it was an exercise in futility. You got to give it some time. But guess what? You do get definitive answers on your draft classes, and it takes time. That's why, it's like back to the San Francisco Giants, you'll sit there and go, the Giants, farm system sucks. And then you'll have some suck up Giants fan who'll be like, Eldridge and this guy. And it's always guys who haven't done it yet that they have high hopes for in the future. But guess what? I can name 25 Eldridges in my lifetime that have all sucked. It's just now it's proof that they sucked. The Kurt Ainsworths and the Jerome Williams and the Gary Browns and the J.R. Phillips but you're going to sit there and cite the guy that still it's not decided yet and decide that he's going to be awesome. When history tells us he's going to suck. He's going to be terrible. He's not going to make it. He's going to be a minor leaguer.
Bryce Eldridge? Are you talking about Bryce Eldridge?
Yeah, I'm just saying, he hit 107 last year with a 40% strikeout rate. And yet if you say the Giants farm system's garbage, people will be like, Bryce Eldridge. Well, yeah, how about, don't tell me about the guy who's coming. Tell me about the stars they've produced. Oh, they haven't in a long time. So not that they haven't produced any, and they Pablo Sandoval, Buster Posey, Lincecum, Kane, Bumgarner. I get it, but I'm just saying overall, compare their list to other teams' list, and it looks bad. So you get definitive answers on these draft classes. It takes a couple years, sometimes about 2 or 3 years. I would say you get it. Look at the Niners 21 draft, 22 draft, 23 draft. Right now here in 26, you got a pretty good feel for a final grade.
And it's not good, by the way.
I will say this. I liked this year's class a little bit, but the NFL didn't, or the people who look at the NFL, because ESPN ranked the top classes, rookie classes, and the Niners were 26th. There's only 32 teams in the league. So, and this was this last class, and everybody was like, oh, this is great. And I was one of them. but the league doesn't think, the people who look at the league at ESPN, who are, I guess, supposed to be unbiased, didn't think much of that draft class. So,
well, look, I mean, how many snaps did you get out of it? First of all, you played.
Well, you were 18th in the NFL in snaps from your.
You played class. Upton Stout, and obviously C.J. West and Alfred Collins. Malik Willis got hurt almost as soon as we were getting used to seeing him.
Who?
Or not Malik Willis, but Mikael Williams got hurt right as soon as you saw him, and so there was not a lot of contribution from this year's draft class beyond Upton Stout. It really they weren't out there.
But I mean, then there's I like Watkins. I like some of these guys. I like some of these guys that haven't played. So I the same way you got to give it time to see. If the bloom is off the rose after their rookie year, there's also some guys that just don't. When I asked Shanahan the other day about Nick Martin and Jordan Watkins, I said, "Hey, Kyle, look." I prefaced my question by saying, "Kyle, look, rookies develop at their own speed. Some guys it takes a year, sometimes it takes 2, sometimes it takes 3, but you had 2 guys who could really run at positions where you need guys who can really run, and they couldn't get on the field. Why?" And he gave me a long answer explaining why, in his mind, they suffered injuries. They fell behind other teams or other players. They had a hard time integrating them into what they were doing. So maybe they get a redshirt year. But guess what?
But again,
next year, if it happens, then it's probably an indictment on them. And if it happens for the next couple of years, they're probably gone. So,
but here's the thing: you can't integrate a go route. You need someone who can run a freaking go route. You can't integrate.
We can talk about why, but I mean, that's what that is what happened. I mean, as far as they had injuries, and then in his mind, they fell behind. I'm with you. I agree. I think you should be able to, the thing about wide receiver, though, and we've talked about this a lot. In college, it's like you're a wide receiver. Here's the play. In the pros, it's like you have to be absolutely at your benchmarks. And like if Brock thinks you're going to be 11 yards down the field, right outside the numbers in your 15th step of the route, then you fucking better be there. And if you're not there, they're going to go with somebody who's slower, who is going to be there. And so that's what it really is about. Choreographed NFL offenses, the receivers have to be, the level of complexity is so much higher than the college receiver.
Especially in Shanahan's offense, especially. Like he's the ultimate nitpick. I said break it off at 7, not 6, not 8, 7. That's him.
It's very exact, and you got to be really exact. And also, some guys are just. It takes a while to, the further you get outside, whether you're a corner or you're a receiver, you're really, technique and your athleticism and your conditioning everything has to be just perfect. And it's hard to get to that level for a lot of rookies. So, I mean, Jerry Rice, the greatest receiver of all time, had a pretty marginal rookie year. So it's really hard. That's probably the main reason why, like for me, when I'm looking at this upcoming year, I really want to see them go after some of those free agent options at receiver because, yes, you could get the rookie receivers that I really like in this draft, and they could all hit. But it doesn't mean they're going to hit by September 5th when you play week 1. It may be September 5th of next year. It may be November 5th of next year. You just don't know. And so if you're going to contend and you're going to lean on young rookie receivers, that's dicey, man.
The last big NFL story of the week that we haven't said a word about together is the snubbing of Bill Belichick on a first ballot Hall of Fame consideration. It's pretty preposterous across the board. I think we've all heard the comparisons to Barry Bonds in a way, like this is what happens when you treat people gruffly in your career. I don't know what it is. I saw Mike Sando offer up, it could be part of the process, and the process then needs to be examined. And if, people didn't vote for Bill Belichick because they thought that they only had so many votes to spread around and they assumed he was a shoo-in, was he undone by that? Was he truly undone by Spygate, Deflategate, and a certain percentage of Hall of Fame voters and media that just said, we're going to hold that against you. The Belichick 11 are being sought out. People are volunteering. Yes, I voted for Bill Belichick at such a rate that eventually those who are not volunteering their no are about to be exposed. Like there is some anger in the football community over
Jimmy Johnson was irate.
Look, how more than anything, Larry, a Hall of Fame is about precedent. It's about setting precedent and baselines for inclusion. Do you meet them? Yes or no? Not only did Bill Belichick meet them, he so thoroughly shot past any trajectory of what you thought a first ballot Hall of Fame, second all time in wins to Don Shula, more Super Bowls than anyone who has ever breathed. If that's not enough to put you in first ballot, regardless of how many sleeves you cut off, how many reporters you cut off with quick press conference answers, it is absurd. It is absurd, and the Hall of Fame absolutely lost credibility because of this.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a popularity contest. So, that's what these Hall of Fames are. But supposedly Bill Polian spoke up and said that don't vote for Belichick. And then when he was asked, who did you vote for? He's like, I don't remember. I mean, come on.
Bullshit.
I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember, really. If you even for just saying I don't remember, you should have your vote stripped.
Right.
If that's your official, that's not a plausible adult answer. So either you've got, CTE or you've got dementia and you shouldn't be voting anymore. Then I read that Ryan Leaf said, I didn't vote for him. Ryan Leaf has a vote?
No, I think Ryan Leaf was being sarcastic there. I think that was
when I saw that, I was like, what? Ryan Leaf has a vote? Yeah, no. Bum. I mean, here's Jimmy Johnson. He says, as a Hall of Fame coach, I think Bill Belichick is the greatest of all time. Yes, he had a great quarterback, but we all did. He won after the salary cap and free agency. Plus, I know how much he loves the NFL and the game. I'm pissed. Yeah, I'm pissed too. The guy won 8 titles. He won over 300 games. He won over 31 playoff games, more than Shula, more than Noel, more than Landry. They're all first ballot. He should be first ballot. He did it in the salary cap era. And then these losers with their, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. How did he do after Brady? It's like, you know what? That's so fucking stupid. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like he won. So what are you saying? That, it's all Tom Brady?
Right.
Let's just say this. I have friends. You know me. I've got friends in the scouting community. My mentor, the late, great Bill Urbanic, worked with Bill Belichick and knew Bill Belichick. And this guy was a defensive coach and understood, the differences between, all coaches know football, but some know more, right? And this guy went to camps and talked defensive strategy with, the Dave Adolphs and the Gunther Cunninghams and the Dick LeBeaus and the Bud Carsons and the George Seiferts and the Bill Belichicks. Bill Belichick is the greatest defensive backfield coach of all time. Bill Belichick found a way to get Mark Collins to dominate Jerry Rice. Bill Belichick has 8 rings. Bill Belichick got Troy Brown to play both ways, Damon, as a pro, as a receiver and a corner. He's a great teacher. Bill Urbanic told me that Bill Belichick was a genius.
Of course he was.
And he was a great coach with the Giants. I mean, you could argue that he was the key to Parcells.
Hey, and here's the thing. What are you going to just say? Well, that was just Lawrence Taylor. No, it's never just one thing. It was never just Tom Brady. And I know that Brady goes on then to Tampa and wins big there. And that makes it wasn't quite Belichick argument even echo louder. It shouldn't. Let me tell you what Bill Belichick was with Tom Brady. He was a level of unprecedented success that the league was unfamiliar with because they'd never seen shit like that. I mean, the fact he is not a Hall of Fame, it denigrates the Hall of Fame. It doesn't denigrate Bill Belichick. It denigrates the Hall of Fame that he's not in. And apparently, is Jordan Hudson? Are they broken up? Is that the rumor that's out there? She only dates first ballot guys, Larry?
Yeah, so his teenage girlfriend or whatever, they broke up. I'm going to share the screen on this one.
How long until she's got an OnlyFans account, Larry? How long? Yeah. I mean, are we counting down months or years?
You mentioned LT. Here's what LT had to say about it. I got set up like a mother. Remember that when he bought cocaine on TV? Here's LT.
You saying that Bill Belichick is not worthy to be in the Hall of Fame first ballot? If he's not, then the whole thing is total bullshit.
Exactly. This is about precedent.
Well said, man.
There should never be a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach ever again after what just happened to Bill Belichick. Sorry, Andy Reid. You ain't in now. Not first ballot. Can't be.
It's an insult. I mean, like Jimmy Johnson is a chill dude at this point. He's living in the Keys. He's fishing. He was irate because Jimmy understands that what Belichick accomplished was just amazing. Just amazing. Bill Belichick, just get out of the macro and look at the micro. He was maybe the best coach who ever lived as on the defensive side, as far as the ability to take away something that he wanted to take away.
He makes you play left-handed.
He was take away a weapon better than anybody.
He called it making you play left-handed. He made more teams play left-handed than most teams were able to play right-handed against anybody else.
It's weak. The whole thing is weak, and it's like the word is petty. It's petty.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Finally,
it's unfortunate because these guys. What is the Hall of Fame? They're just ambassadors for football. And come on, I mean, you don't want Bill Belichick to be an ambassador for football. I mean, really? I mean, seriously. Even Tom Brady, who had beef with Belichick at different times, and I'm sure they yelled at each other. He was like, "Come on, man, this is ridiculous." So it's not. Hey, there's a lot more injustices in the world than this, and everybody's going to be just fine. And Bill's got all the money and all the wins, and nobody's taking anything away from him. But it's petty. Petty.
Let's, Larry, go through our supers. And
I got two things I want to bring up here.
We'll end the show with Giannis. How about that? Let's do super.
I got two other things that we got to hit first.
Okay.
One, a Chase Senior thing that I think is really interesting. And Chase and I are going to stream in about 15 minutes, but I do want to share this. He has this out there, Damon. This is pretty interesting. Let me see. I think this is it. Yeah, here it is. There we go. Chase put this out today. He said, here are 5 49ers cut candidates and players the Niners could move on from to clear some money before NFL free agency. And he's listing Jair Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Bryce Huff, Jake Brendel, D. Winters. I'm good saying goodbye to obviously Ayuk and Brendel and Winters. Those would be the 3 I'd say goodbye to. I would keep Huff and Brown. I know I'm in the minority on Brown. A lot of people don't like Brown. I had Kyle Posey from Niners Nation on, and I would encourage you to get him on here. He's really good.
I've had him.
Oh, you've had him on. Well, then and he thinks that Jair is their best safety, even better than Mustafa. I really think Jair has gotten done wrong by the perception. I think he's a versatile piece and a key guy who could play weak side linebacker in a jumbo three safety kind of a deal. I think he can. I really like Jair. I think Jair is a good football player. And I know he's had a lot of different coaches, a lot of turnover. He's been asked to do a lot of different things. He's had some moments. He's had some bad moments. But I overall, I like Jair Brown. I think he's a solid player. I think it'd be a mistake to get rid of him. I'd keep Brown and Huff. But I'm saying goodbye to obviously Ayuk. But I'm saying goodbye to Brendel and Winters as well. Of these 5, who would you keep and who would you jet?
I'm definitely keeping the same 2 you are. Look, Huff was miscast when he became the man. He's not Batman. He's Robin. And when he lost his Batman, he just couldn't carry the movie by himself. He just couldn't. He's not wired to be that. He wasn't signed to be that. And he isn't that.
And there's no crime in that.
I think he's a great other guy. I really do. So I'm keeping Huff, and I'm also keeping Jair Brown. I really am. And here's the thing. Brendel, I'd like to say goodbye, but you can't go saying goodbye until you got a hello. What's the deal going to be then at center? Who you drafting? Who you got Linderbaum coming? All right, let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
But again, this team is in no position to cut anyone they think that can play defense. Period.
One last one, and this, I mean, I brought this up on KMBR last night, Damon, and the lines lit up. Every single line was lit. People wanted to talk about this.
What'd you say?
It wasn't what I said. It was what Dante Whitner said. And I'm going to play this cut. It's about a minute, but this is an amazing cut. And I agree with it, sort of, but he kind of goes too far. And this is a thing with Rod Brooks and Deshaun Goldson, but Brooks doesn't talk at all in the segment. Goldson talks over Whitner and then has things to say at the end about Jim Harbaugh. We'll skip that part. But the first part about just Whitner is really the meat and potatoes of this cut. And Coach Yak put this out on his Twitter. Here it is. Dante Whitner on the Niners need to get more badasses in the draft.
You know what I was thinking, though, and what I've been thinking about with the 49ers and their personnel? And when I look at the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks and the way that they're built up front and in the trenches, I think it's time for the 49ers to get away from the safe draft picks. The guys who they're easy to control in the locker room, guys who the environment really.
And I started seeing that towards the end of my year.
It's time to go and get some guys,
some dogs,
literally from the inner city, from the Ohio States, the Georgias, like the Philadelphia Eagles did. And if you want to control that environment, put it on the player development part. You need to go and get some guys that have some off-field issues. You need to get some guys that have some anger issues. You need to get some guys that refuse not to be great football players. Yeah, it's great to get the Iowa States, the Iowas, the BYUs, and the Stanfords and the Harvards. But, man, we need to go and get some dogs. And that's what it's going to take to compete. So I've been thinking about that all week. And when I was looking at this NFC Championship, I'm like, that's the difference.
Wow. I mean, that it's pretty, I think you went a little too far. I don't know if they need anger management guys or guys with problems off the field, but I do kind of agree with his sentiment that this is a rough game played by rough guys. And if you are going to be like the team that we're not going to take anybody that's not just a great guy, I think you are operating with an arm tied behind your back. I think he makes a compelling point. I don't like necessarily the way he said it, and it sounded almost like he was pointing at Kittle and Purdy and Juice and to say that you need guys from the inner city. What are we saying here? What are we really saying? I don't know. I kind of agree that you need especially on defense. We just showed LT. LT is not an easy guy to control, and I'm sure, he did some bad stuff, but he was also a badass on the field, and we all want LT the player. So, Damon, weigh in on this one, because your guys' team right now, Indiana, is at the top of the football world, and they really have a lot of high-character football players. And
there's some absolute dogs on that team, too. I'm telling you this. Just because you got
dogs on that team, but I'm just saying they're not a dog. You can be both high character and a dog. Let's just say that. What do you think of what he said?
Let me just say two things. I would have never cut Charles Haley. I would have never traded Charles Haley.
Would this regime of the Niners have drafted Charles Haley?
Again, what I said is what I mean. I don't care who he upset, whose desk he pissed on. That guy wrecks shop on Sundays, and that's why he's here. And if he pisses off a lot of people Monday through Saturday, that's the price of business for doing business with a bad motherfucker. I got no problems with bad motherfuckers on my football team, not never. The other thing I have to say is that when I was I'm not even kidding, Larry, I'm like in 10th grade. I'm playing high school football at Notre Dame Bishop Gibbons, which is a Catholic school. And it was I was a public school guy, and then I was a private school guy for a little while, grades, whatever. Anyway, the priest, who was one of the assistant coaches on this team, was a huge Notre Dame fan. And he used to say, Notre Dame, if they want to get good again, they're going to need their rapists and murderers just like everybody else. And I remember the priest saying, I'm going, wow, holy shit. But that's what he meant. Enough of this good boy, choir boy stuff. I want badass football players. I do. Don't think for a minute, though, the 49ers are just drafting nice guys. I mean, that is very much a cool T-shirt to print. I want them dogs. Of course you do. Everyone does. I don't think what separated the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Niners this year were too many dogs or a lack thereof. It was injuries to crucial players, period. He says they need to draft guys from Ohio State. Well, where did Nick Bosa go? They need to draft guys from Georgia. Well, their first round draft pick was from Georgia. So, like, what I think you're trying to do is sound like you're a tough guy. And look, Dante Whitner was a tough guy. But yes, I mean, like what he just said is, geez, I hope this water and lemonade is cold, wet, and refreshing. Like, of course, that's what you're going after. What was just said there beyond nothing? Of course, yes, you want really good football players, period. But I don't care where they come from. And, how about this? The reason why I don't want Addison out of Minnesota is because the guy gets arrested every 5 minutes. I don't want that guy either. So,
all right. So, I just, we don't have a lot of time. So I wanted to throw that to you. We'll finish on the Giannis front. There's a lot of talk the Warriors are going to go for Giannis.
We got a lot of supers here, Larry. We got a lot of supers, and we got to hit them right now. But a lot of talk about Giannis. Do you have a quick thought on Giannis? Just a very quick thought. How about this? You're only trading your current problems for another set of problems, but at least those problems come with Giannis. I do the deal.
I would do the deal as well. I think the Bucks are going to do the deal because I think the Bucks want expirings and draft picks that are going to be high draft picks. But I think the smarter move for the Warriors, and I know the Warriors keep saying, well, why are we doing this? What's the motivation to do this? Oh, we want to maximize Steph's future. We want Steph to really be able to win a title. No, you don't. You want to be able to win a title. You want to, but don't tell us it's about Steph. It's about you. Because if you really wanted Steph to win a title, you'd trade Steph to somewhere where he could win a title. But you don't want Steph to win a title. You want to win another title. And that's really the truth. There's a sample trade on Bleacher Report that would send Steph Curry, Keon Ellis, and it's a three-way or four-way trade, or three-way trade. Sacramento or Philadelphia would get Curry, Keon Ellis, and Dennis Schroeder. The Warriors would get Paul George, Malik Monk, VJ Edgecombe, who's really good, Jared McCain, Justin Edwards, and a bunch of picks. Sacramento would get Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Andre Drummond, and some second-round picks. I honestly believe if the Warriors are at a crossroads, I think if they can get Giannis, they should do it. And if they can't get Giannis, they should do this. They should move Curry and let Curry go win a title somewhere else. Because if you really care about Steph winning a title, as you say you do, then put your money where your mouth is, turn the page, and go let him win a title where he can. But that's not what they care about. So they care about them winning a title.
Here's what's about to happen. You're going to trade for Giannis and then try to compete for a championship you're unlikely to win, even with Giannis and Curry, because the problems are around the rest of your roster now. Yeah. But it would be a hell of a show, and you are selling tickets to a show, so I wouldn't begrudge them for doing it. But when it's over, you are the Lakers post-Kobe. Do you understand? That's what you're signing up for here. Yeah. If you want to have a two-timeline approach, trading Steph Curry is the thing to do, but no one's got the stones to do that. So that's not going to happen.
I know, but that's what, if you care if you say that you care about Steph Curry winning a ring, then get Giannis and go for it here, even though I agree with you. I think they'll fall short. But if you can't get that deal done and the Bucks say, you know what, we're not doing it. We're not doing it now. Or let's say they move Giannis somewhere else. I think that the Warriors should pivot to this deal and say goodbye to Steph, send him somewhere where he can win. All right, I know that's unpopular.
But to wrap up with this too.
Yeah.
One of my big pushbacks too is the whole, like, you got to maximize Steph Curry. They won 4 fucking titles with Steph Curry. They maximized the shit out of Steph Curry in his time, in his career. This whole, like, they got to do right by Steph. 4 championships, 4 of them. I just explained though.
It's bullshit. They're not about doing right by Steph. They want to do right by themselves. All right, Travis Stewart. F you, Larry. You're awesome. Damon, you're growing on me. At Fuji, Bill, I don't recall Polian thoughts on Hall of Fame vote. Yeah, we hit that. Food, off topic, Larry. Reardon beat SI basketball on a buzzer beater. The SI Kittens have been defanged, declawed, spayed and neutered, even while Reardon has a TB outbreak.
It's tuberculosis outbreak at Reardon.
From what I've heard about how good Reardon is, it sounds like it was a hell of a game by SI to even hang. Joseph Ernberg in the house. I'll see you at the gym. He says 49er Wake Up is better than Joe Rogan podcast. Tom Crown sucks. That's awesome. Fuji, with Kittle out and Garendo likely gone next year, does this make sense? Make it more likely Juice comes back for another 1-year deal with the team, substation issue aside. I got no problem with Juice coming back. I thought he played great this year. I got to be honest. Dr. Rockman, Mac trade to Minnesota or Miami for rounds 1 through 4 pick swap, move up 10 to 8 spots each round. Thoughts? A player plus the swaps would be nice, maybe unreasonable. As I said, Dr. Rockman, I think you're going to get a bonanza for Mac Jones, even more than people think. Zach says, Larry, Damon, love the show. I think ownership is the problem. Eddie D said it would Lands go for 31 years without a Super Bowl. Yeah, Eddie D said it wouldn't happen.
By the way, what a shot he slammed into his own family right there. So
awesome.
Thanks, Eddie.
It was awesome. That's why I love Eddie. Dr. Rockman is as nice as a good backup quarterback is. Half the team needs starters right now. The team does not have the luxury of keeping assets on the bench when the product on the field is subpar. They need players. I agree. Dr. Rockman, I think that's a very astute point by you. Greatness. Vikings just fired their GM. Oh, maybe the guy you were talking about, Damon. He's out.
No. That was us. That was when I was saying, here's the trade. And the Vikings would fire their guy right there. The Vikings have not fired their general manager this morning.
Paul Glass loved Hittner's view on getting some badasses, some MFers. Badass.
Again, but that is just the most empty calorie thing you've ever played in terms of was this interesting? Not really. Of course you want badass football players. What are we doing here? Come on.
Well, but I mean, if it really comes down to, we didn't really flesh it out, but if it really comes down to, one or the other, that's really when the debate gets good. Whatever. Says, do you think Willis would be more wanted than Mac? No,
Willis,
I think Mac is going to be more wanted than Malik. I really do. Fuji says, any update on Roger Craig's Hall of Fame chances? With Belichick not getting in, I think his Hall of Fame chances go up. We'll find out in a week. I hope he gets in. If he gets in, I'm going to Canton. PDX says, I would trade Demo for a better man corner. If we got Schwartz, maybe Salah would take him for a pick, and we take Snead off their hands and hope he rebounds.
Trading Diamador Lenore would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, but weirder things have happened. Joseph Ernberg, YGM is the Pearsall of D linemen. 3 plates. 3 plates soon, LK? No, 3 plates not soon. Unless you're spotting me. And even then, I wouldn't even try 3 plates. My arms start to shake when I get 2 plates, when I get 2 plates and a 10. Fuji says, Eddie D did also start the 49er Golden Heart Fund. Yeah, he did. That is legit. Alexander McDonald, not confident Lynch can make a good free agent acquisition. His best is who? Alex Mack, Mooney Ward. Last regime signed Justin Smith and Dante Whitner. We need some solid free agents like those now. That's a great point. That is a great point. Appreciate that. We have this one from Mr. Derp. Dubs to get Giannis, yes or no? I'll say yes. I think they're the leader. I think they really are the leader. Too much sauce. Why are media events so scattered for the Super Bowl in San Francisco? Because Media Row's in SF and the game's in Santa Clara.
Well, it's ridiculous that opening night is at SAP Pavilion. That should be at Chase Center.
Yeah, it's whatever. Maybe there's a Warrior conflict. TV YT says, would Jed revoke media creds for personal reasons? I hope not. Chino EVI. I brought it up a month or so ago, but do you think Ayuk for AJ Brown could get worked out now? Wouldn't be straight up some sort of package. I don't know what the market for Ayuk is. I would do it. I would do that in a second. Fuji, Brian Poley and Bill's son, who I do know, hinted his dad is old, memory not great. He asked for compassion and to lay off his dad. Not sure if he knows how his dad voted. That's interesting. I can see that. And I think Brian's a good dude. Bill's a good dude. just don't say that you forgot. It's a bad look.
But there's no doubt who led that charge in that room to screw over Belichick. It sounds like Polian. This was a main chief rival of the Bills and the Colts. Come on, man. I think we know what happened.
Fuji, Bill Petty Polian would fit right in at SI or SH. Oh, that ain't right. Greatness says no, they real did look it up. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Dunn says Damon and Larry, Eddie D won 5 Super Bowls as an owner, hired the right guy twice. Also, I don't think Shanny would have not made certain draft choices if he had an owner with coldness like Eddie has. Oh, that's interesting. Jake says
Eddie and coldness. I don't think those words have been used in the same sentence.
Well,
before.
I think he just means he's just like a bat. Eddie was a bottom line guy. Jake says the Vikings really did fire their GM this morning. Oh, okay.
Did they?
I have to look it up, but yeah, I mean, I'm here with you. Angel, you can look it up right now. Angel says
it did. It just happened. Vikings fire Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah after 4 seasons. It really happened.
Yeah, the way that was written, I thought, that seems very real. Angel Navarro, can't the 49ers build a indoor practice facility? So basically build around their practice field to above the power station. Shanahan has been demanding an indoor practice facility, so who knows? Too much sauce is Tonjes a regrettable loss if he leaves?
Yes.
He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He'll be here for sure. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Damon. Thanks to all of you.
Larry, we got the Vikings GM fired this morning. This is the most powerful the show's ever been.
He needs to call Habas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. HabasLaw.com on the web. Thanks to all of you guys. Have a great rest of your Friday. Damon, we'll talk more Super Bowl next week from Radio Row. And until then, peace.